I do want to get to a big environmental issue that's been in the headlines, the proposed liquid natural gas plan for the Tacoma, on the Tacoma waterfront. Based on some past articles that I read, Ms. Woodards, you previously supported the project, from what I understand. Has your position changed?
It has not. It has not. TOTE, which is one of our largest shipping companies in Tacoma, is under federal mandate to get a cleaner burning fuel and get out of that dirty bunker fuel that they're burning now. LNG is the transitional fuel that gets them there. It saves hundreds and hundreds of jobs on our port. And it provides a better outcome for the people who work there. I do believe that citizens in Tacoma, that they deserve to have their questions answered, that they deserve to feel safe. I believe we've got to hold PSC accountable, and we've got to make sure that the regulators who are checking off on this project, that they are adhering to everything they're supposed to adhere to, and that our fire chief at the end of the day, who says whether or not it's safe, a go or a no-go, that he has full authority to be able to do that.
Mr. Merritt, you've said the community should decide?
Well, here's the fundamental issue. LNG was done as a backroom deal first. There was no communication in the community. This is a real fundamental problem. This is indicative of how our city has been doing things over the last decade, more specifically. Okay, PSC, I asked them over and over again, to just give me scientific facts about the risks and consequences. All they do is PR. They have big ads about just PR. They're not willing to address the concerns that are out there, and even in the scientific community. That's a problem. And why are they allowed to continue construction and what's called going vertical? They had a demolition permit and a foundation permit. I don't deny those things, but they're doing it without a permit. They should be red tagged. They should not be continuing. The other issue is we don't have a master plan and a vision of where this could be, and there's questions about what kind of a future jobs. 18 jobs, 100 jobs, is it precluding the opportunity for 1,800 jobs or 18,000 jobs of where we want to define ourselves as a city? These are big issues that we need to look at as holistically. Now, as far as LNG being this, I don't believe at this point the answers are there, that it is a transitional fuel and all. There's challenges out there and the risks, and even a retired firefighter who was down in the port all of his career is very concerned about some of the information that we're getting. So I think there's questions unanswered. This is not time to take a leap of faith. This is time to make very good decisions and to challenge them. So we need to make this a part of our moving forward, to look at that as a solution or a setting aside to make certain that we do things that are right for TOTE. What is the other alternatives? And then move towards a better solution for Tacoma. Backroom deals, though, are not good for business in Tacoma, and that's what we have.
Well, I think we keep saying backroom deals, and I think what we forget, and this is where experience comes in as a council member, we don't vote on every permit. We don't get to vote on what, nobody actually sat in a back room and said, let's put LNG in the port. The reality is that we set the parameters for what happens on the port, and that's why we want to do the sub-area plan, is to be able to look at what new parameters do we want to set on the port. But staff has a set of parameters to look at, as whether or not a business fits those parameters or not. If they meet those regulations and they fit those parameters, then they get cited. It's not an opportunity for us to vote on it. Could you imagine if the city council voted on every single permit that came forward? I mean, that would be a nightmare for us and be a nightmare for our city. So I think what's important for me, the sub-area plan, is where we're going to get at that, where we as a city are going to be able to decide what we want in our port and what's the best way to move forward. I think when you bring together the port, when we bring together the tribe, when we bring together citizens, when we bring together business owners, that's when we're going to have a real opportunity to get the best ideas of how we move forward this industrial port. It is an industrial port, and we need to look at more green manufacturing jobs, but it's an industrial deep water port. We're not going to put a super mall on the port. Those aren't the best family wage jobs. We're going to get good businesses on the port, like solar. And so those are going to be some of the ideas that we can bring to the port. But I'm ready to hear with the citizens, because I think the best thing we have in Tacoma is if we involve everyone in the decision making and let them provide their ideas.
Well, here's the problem that I see. It really is the sub-area plan, and what we're going to be looking at are talking about this use, that use, and those are the end decisions, not the beginning of a planning process. We need to start talking about what the constraints and opportunities and the goals and objectives are for our industrial base and the surrounding areas. This is where we should be starting. What happens when you go to the end uses, it's just a fight. This will not get done in 3, 5, or 5, whatever, 2 to 5 years, because all it is a fight, or it's going to be a win-lose. It doesn't have to be that way. And there are many examples I could cite in how to do this in the appropriate way. The other problem is that you got to look at the industrial base about holistically. It's not a Sudbury plant just about the port. It's about what happens with Nally Valley, what happens with Frederickson. And when you really start drilling down into the port goals and strategic plan is, where's the next industrial piece going to be? Where is it going to be? That has to be part of this plan, because it has to do with the locations of businesses and jobs, but it also includes the transportation, both in rail and truck traffic, which is getting a challenge all by itself. So all these things have to be part of it. And we can do it, but we're going to jump to a conclusion and say like, don't like, and this is going to just cause more turmoil. That's what feels like deals are made before everybody has a seat at the table. We need to have opportunities. It's not just maybe for stakeholders. They're the steering committee, but everybody needs to get to the table, to have their say, and the industry gets to have their say, of course, because they need to say how it's going to work, and they need to convince. This is how we've done in other things that would have questionable uses.